be an audio feed for the general public so that the members of the public can listen to the meeting. And there will be an audio recording posted to IHCDA's website next month. At this time, when motions are being made, if each board member that makes a motion would please state your first and last name for the record, that would be helpful. So with that, I believe our board members that are present today would be myself, Lieutenant Governor Suzanne Crouch, Dan Hughey. Is that right? Is Dan with? No, Mark is here, correct? Mark Pascarella?
That is correct.
Okay, perfect. And then we have Mark Wellner, who is sitting in for Kelly Mitchell, Treasurer Mitchell, correct?
Yeah, correct.
All right, and I heard Andy Place earlier, so I know Andy is with us. Mike Schottmeyer is here. And June, are you with us? June Midkiff?
Yes, I am.
Perfect, wonderful. So with that being the case, the first item on our agenda is approval of the minutes from the May 28th, 2020 board meeting. Are there any corrections or additions to those minutes? And if not, I'll entertain a motion to approve in a second. Please state your name first.
Mark Wallner, Madam
Andy
Chairman.
Place.
Hey, Mark.
I'll second that. Andy Place.
Perfect. Mark made the motion and Andy seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Perfect. Any opposed? Hearing no one opposed, the motion passes. And please welcome Peter Nelson to present a recommendation regarding bond volume 4% credits, Green Oaks of Valparaiso. Welcome, Peter.
Thank you. Good morning, board. If you look at the agenda, I have several bond volume recommendations this morning. So as mentioned, the first one, Green Oaks of Valparaiso. It was the 8th application we received in the 2020 bond round. It represents a total development cost of $29,443,891, requesting $20,100,432 volume and $968,205 in LIHTC annually for 10 years, creating 120 units of affordable housing. So this project is by the Evergreen Real Estate Group. They are proposing the new construction of an affordable assisted living facility in Valparaiso. Pretty similar to a lot of the assisted living projects that the board has seen and approved. Studio and 1-bedroom units in this facility, targeting seniors. The anticipated age for these are about 82 plus, but they tend to target anyone older than 62. So the facility is going to have a dining room with a full commercial kitchen, serving 3 meals a day and typically also some snacks. It'll have several amenities such as a fitness room, beauty salon, activity rooms for the residents to utilize. Each unit is fully adaptable, so it can be made into a fully accessible unit if needed, but they will contain private bathrooms with grab bars, emergency alert systems like the pull strings in case someone gets stuck or needs some help right away. And they'll also have a kitchenette. Certified staff will be on duty 24 hours a day, and transportation will be provided to the residents by the facility for quick access to any local amenities, grocery, doctors, pharmacies, stuff like that. The real estate staff reviewed the application to ensure it met the criteria of the 2020-2021 qualified allocation plan. And so we've been tracking some for these affordable assisted living. As the board knows, they're a fairly new product. We haven't, or we first started approving a lot of them just a couple of years ago. So really with more just coming into being placed in service and fully leased up, we've really started to track kind of the performance and how some of these projects are doing. So we wanted to include some of these key indicators that we'll be looking at going forward in these board memos. So we're tracking how long these projects take to lease up, which is typically a little bit longer than just a normal multifamily LIHTC project. we're also tracking just the current occupancy, that broken out into the total occupancy, and then the occupancy for projects that have been placed in service within a year, and then those that have been placed in service for more than a year, just to kind of gauge how well they function just kind of right away, and then after really they've been fully leased up. And then we're also tracking the turnover rate. One thing that I guess a couple of things that we're really looking at with these are just one, to track the production of these, how well do these projects do, and make some decisions going forward based on that. But also we want to kind of keep tabs on how do these projects perform kind of with the COVID going on, and just track if a high density vulnerable population is really affected by it, if a project like that is really affected by the COVID epidemic. So we'll be tracking these numbers going forward. They're fairly preliminary, but I think we got some good numbers to look at and some good things to measure going forward for these. All in all, with that, staff is recommending full allocation of the bond volume and credits requested for this project, and I'd be happy to take any questions at this point.
Board, any questions for Peter? Peter, I believe we're ready for your resolution.
Staff respectfully requests the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that the board approve awarding $20,189,432 in bond volume and $968,205 in annual LIHTC to Green Oaks of Valparaiso, LLC, for Green Oaks of Valparaiso according to the terms of the 2020 AB application round as recommended by staff.
We have a resolution before us. Is there a motion and a second?
So moved. Mike Schotmeyer.
Andy Place, second.
Judith Gibbs.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. And the motion carries. Thank you, Peter. And now I believe you will be making a recommendation regarding bond volume 4% credits, Parkside Assisted Living.
Yes. So Parkside Assisted Living, it is the 11th application we received in the 2020 round. A total development cost of just shy of $25 million. They are requesting $17 million in bond volume and $733,043 in annual LIHTC, creating 120 units of affordable housing. Again, this is a project. Project is project studio and 1-bedroom units. This one is age restricting at those 55 and older, so that's a little bit younger than some of these assisted living typically elect, but that'll help broaden their base of who can live in this facility. But so certified staff will be on site 24 hours a day, assisting residents with aspects of daily living, whatever level of their need that may be, and then transportation will be provided by the facility as well. This was reviewed by the real estate staff, making sure it met criteria of the 2020-2021 qualified allocation plan. And we are recommending the full allocation of bond volume and tax credits for this project.
Thank you. Any questions for Peter?
Madam Chair, just which one for Peter, and I guess this applies maybe to all of them. I should have asked whether we worked with this development team or the others, and if not, how IHCDA goes about assessing kind of capacity and track record for the different developers who are proposing the assisted living projects.
Yeah, that's a good question, Mark. We have worked, I'd say with all of the developers that have proposed assisted living projects that we're recommending today. the next project that we'll be recommending on the agenda, they do not have a current assisted living project with us, but they are partnering with another developer who is acting as a co-developer who does. So typically, if we assess somebody that doesn't have kind of a track record of doing assisted living with us, we'll look at, have they done something in another state? Do they have experience just generally with senior developments? Maybe they have some market rate assisted living properties. And then we'll also look at the overall development team. Who are they partnering with?
Any addition?
Like Garden Management, for instance, who have had some experience, and just kind of gauge their capacity and give us a better understanding of what the entire development team brings to this project.
Thank you.
Any additional questions for Peter? Peter, we're ready for your resolution.
Staff respectfully requests the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that the board approve awarding $17 million in bond volume and $733,043 in annual LIHTC to Parkside AALLP for Parkside Assisted Living according to the terms of the 2020 AB application round as recommended by staff.
Board, we have a resolution before us. I'll entertain a motion for approval and a second.
Andy Place, motion for approval.
Thank you, Andy.
Mark Wallner, second.
Thank you, Mark. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. And Peter, you will now present a recommendation regarding bond volume 4% credits for the Vivera Senior Living of Jeffersonville.
Yes.
Thank you.
So this one was the fourth application we received and reviewed in the 2020 AB round. Total development cost for this one, just over $30 million, requesting $20,300,000 in bond volume and $1,019,453 in annual LIHTC. They are creating 130 units of affordable housing. So JLB Jeffersonville, GP, alongside the co-developer CRF Affordable Housing. The co-developer, to Mark's question in the last one, is the one that has some experience with affordable housing LIHTC projects with us. They are proposing new construction of this assisted living facility in Jeffersonville. Like the others, it contains studio and one-bedroom unit. We'll have a full dining room with a commercial kitchen serving 3 meals a day, fitness room, beauty salon, activity rooms, other amenities for the residents. And then again, all the units we make sure for these projects are fully adaptable so they can be converted into fully accessible if needed. And then certified staff is on duty 24/7 and transportation provided to all the residents. Real estate staff determined it met criteria in the 2020-2021 qualified allocation plan, and we are recommending full bond volume and credits for this project.
Are there any questions for Peter regarding this development? Peter, we're ready for your resolution.
Staff respectfully requests the board approve the following resolution. Resolved, the board approve awarding $20,300,000 in bond volume and $1,019,453 in annual LIHTC to Vivera Senior Living of Jeffersonville, LLC for Vivera Senior Living of Jeffersonville, according to the terms of the 2020 AB application round as recommended by staff.
Or
Mike
we have,
Schottenheimer, motion made.
okay. Is there a second?
June Midkiff, second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
And now please welcome Samantha Spurgel to present a home buyers award recommendation for Southern Indiana Housing and Community Development Corporation. Welcome, Samantha.
Good morning.
Morning.
Today I'm here Today I'm here to present an award recommendation for the Southern Indiana Housing and Community Development Corporation. This is under the 2018-2019 home buyer funding round, which was released originally on April 1st, 2019. This source of funding is available to nonprofits and units of local government for the construction of affordable housing for homeownership. And applications can be accepted on a rolling basis. IHCDA received an application for the development of one unit in Columbus, Indiana from the Southern Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority, from the Southern Indiana Housing and Community Development Corporation, excuse me. IHCDA staff checked the application for completeness, determined that all threshold items were met, and they did score. Subsequently, IHCDA also allows organizations through this funding round, as we do through our rental round, to apply for community housing development organization supplemental funding. SIHCDC did apply for an additional $50,000 of that operating supplemental funding. With that, SIHCDC is requesting $40,000 of construction financing in addition to the $50,000 of the total operating funding. There are two key performance indicators I would like to quickly touch on. The first is the total number of homebuyer units produced since IHCDA re-released its homebuyer policy. With this application, IHCDA has funded 15 homebuyer units since April 1st across 4 different applicants and developers. And then the second key performance indicator is the number of certified community housing and development organizations applying through this program. And this is our first CHODO to apply through the homebuyer rolling round. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Board, any questions for Samantha?
Hey, Sam, this is Mark. Just a quick question on, do you have a sense of why the rental round was so so fully subscribed last month, but the home buyer may be getting less interest?
It's a good question. Many of our developers generally tend to work in the rental space and not the homebuyer construction space. That being said, we are seeing an uptick in the number of applications we've received for a home buyer. Currently, I'm underwriting a new application, which I hope to bring to the board in the next month or so. And then secondly, we did release last year a request for qualification, which the board approved for the home innovation round. IHCDA staff selected 3 nonprofits to enter into an intense 4-month training, which actually culminated last week through their presentations on their projects. We've set aside approximately $6 million for those 3 nonprofits to produce units of homeownership. Some of those nonprofits have traditionally not worked in the homeownership space, so I'm very excited to see, at least on the construction side, they're housing counseling nonprofits. So I'm excited to see, again, increased numbers of those units, hopefully in the next 6 months or so.
Any additional questions for Samantha? Samantha, I believe we're ready for your resolution.
Fantastic.
I believe you have 2, don't you?
Yes, I do.
So we'll take them separately, correct?
Yes.
All right. We're ready for your
first. Perfect. Staff respectfully requests the board approve the following resolution. Resolve the board approve home funding in the form of a grant in an amount not to exceed $40,000 to Southern Indiana Housing and Community Development Corporation as recommended by staff.
Board, we have a resolution before us. Is there a motion and a second?
Mark Woolner, motion.
Andy Place, so moved. Or second to Mark.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries, and we're ready for your second resolution.
Thank you. Staff respectfully requests the board approve the following resolution. Resolve that the board approve home CHODO operating supplement funding in the form of a grant in an amount not to exceed $50,000 to Southern Indiana Housing and Community Development Corporation as recommended by staff.
Board, we have a resolution before us. I'll entertain a motion in a second.
Mike Schotmeyer, so moved.
June Midkiff, second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Samantha.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, and please welcome Tom Pearson, Kim Harris, Kim Harris, and Rich Harcourt to provide a home ownership update. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Kim Harris. I'm the homeownership director here at Indiana Housing. Thanks for the opportunity today to give you an update on what the homeownership department's been up to. Homeownership department is commonly known as HOD, affectionately, because we do like our acronyms, don't we? The first thing that we have to do is look at the mission of the homeownership department. That's to provide affordable, sustainable homeownership opportunities for Hoosiers. I might stop and add a word in there, and that word is responsibly. I think our goal is to provide responsible programs to our Hoosiers so that we put them in homes in such a responsible way that they come out better than when they first bought the home. And we do this through a number of programs. So one of the programs we use that's the most popular is down payment assistance. Some of you probably already know, again, an acronym, what DPA is, but let me take a minute. Down payment assistance, or DPA, is that source of funds that the lender requires that you have invested in a transaction. As an example, FHA requires 3.5% to be part of the transaction. That can come from the buyer, or it can come from a source such as an approved source such as Indiana Housing. So we do that to help the borrower get into the property for those who don't have sufficient funds. Now, we offer down payment assistance programs through a couple of different means. We offer them through TBA, which stands for to be announced, but it really is nothing more than a secondary marketing program. And of course, the tried and true that we've all seen before, the mortgage revenue bond program. Let's take a minute and look at each of these. The secondary market program, also called TBA program, is a program where all the loans are actually accumulated, put into a security, and I sell that security to a hedger at a predetermined profit. Whereas you look at the basic difference on the bond program is set up to where we issue mortgage revenue bonds, and then we have the annuity income stream from the payments against those loans. So you look at the concept, which is better? They're both good. Think about it logically. If we look at an issue that you're trying to generate income on a monthly basis to help get through some of the costs of the agency, a secondary market program fits that bill perfectly. Another thought would be, hey, we'd like to really build up our balance sheet some. Well, then the bond program becomes a very big asset. Let's take this one step further, and I'm going to introduce Tom Pearson, our operations manager. He's going to walk you through a couple of slides that clearly show the production that these particular programs have had. Tom, if you're available.
Yeah. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Jake, and the rest of the board for allowing the homeownership department to present today. On the first slide, the TBA versus the bond volume slide, the date starts at March 2019. That's when we started recording the data and really taking a look into it. Just take a look at a couple of things. Interest rate sensitivity and the value of DPA. So you can see back starting in March 2019 that they're running parallel together. Then in fall of 2019, we see that the bond overtakes the TBA volume all the way up until the end of April, beginning of May of current year. So a couple things on this. First of all, we had several successful bond issuances, the 2020 A, the 2019 A and B bond issuances, where we were able to lower the interest rates on our bond programs, which drove up the bond volume. Then the pandemic hit and the feds came in and started purchasing everything, which drove the TBA program rates down substantially. And you can see that nexus there where the TBA crosses back over the bond volume in a pretty dramatic way. So that's kind of an interesting slide on the first one. If we go to the next slide, the 2020 volume versus 2019 volume, you can see a couple interesting things. First of all, we are having a great year. And one first interesting thing is in middle of April of the current year, and let me stop myself and explain that the dating on this starting in March of 2020, that coincides when we started recording the data and reviewing it again as well on this in March of 2019. So we just have a snapshot basically comparing March of current year to March of 2019 through about year to date, June current year. But back to April, we hit a wide spread there of about 41% increase in volume over 2019. And this occurred because of a couple things. First of all, participating lenders were ramping up production to get the mortgages purchased as quickly as possible. They wanted to get their pipelines clean because of uncertainty in the market with the pandemic. The second piece was participating lenders knew that they were being shut off or going to be shut off by their executives from being allowed to offer HFA programs. And this just wasn't in Indiana, this was nationwide. Companies like Ruoff Mortgage, Fairway Independent Mortgage are big participating lenders that do a lot of volume, not only in the state of Indiana, but nationwide. We're taking a pause in offering our programs. And the main driver from that was uncertainty in HFAs such as Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and Alabama. These are all self-servicing HFAs, and there were concerns with liquidity in that. So then they have all come back, and we are staying steady at a 20% increase over 2019. And you might ask, why is the volume so much greater current year versus previous year? Well, there's probably a couple different reasons for that. Individuals finally making that decision to upsize or downsize. Individuals wanting a safe haven, a place to get away from others, basically in a time of pandemic, their own space. Lower interest rates, and then the appreciation of homes. The value of homes have really increased as well. The homeownership department has another metric that we have been watching since March of last year, and that is what is our average mortgage loan amount. That has increased last year of March from $126,500 approximately to current $141,700 in a little over a year, which is a great 13% increase over last year. Where are we going for the rest of the year? Well, that remains to be seen, but hopefully we'll continue to go down the path that we're going and continue to provide Hoosiers with the ability to purchase homes through one of our programs. I'm going to turn it back over to Kim for the next slide.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, everyone, again. We look back, boy, and we look at these numbers. And I remember 13 years ago when I first started here, the only program we had was that of a bond program. Whereas today, look at us now, we have the secondary market program in itself, which offers the Next Home program that we use. It offers a 3.5% DPA, down payment assistance. This particular program is very unique, as we mentioned, because it doesn't have to regulate towards just the bond guidelines. What that means to me is it means that I can offer this program to more people. You don't have to be a first-time home buyer. So I don't have those restrictions to deal with, which lets me serve more Hoosiers. On the bond side, of course, there's two programs, Helping to Own and Indiana Home Solutions. Helping to Own is a unique program in that the DPA is a grant, also 3.5%. Indiana Home Solutions, very interesting program. It offers a 6% DPA. Stop and wonder, why 6%? You look at the marketplace today and you have to think that cash is going to be an issue, simply because some people are not working and haven't worked for a while. So we offer that to be able to cover closing costs and prepaids so that we don't have to rely on seller concessions. We're also happy to announce that probably as early as Monday, we will have a new program out on the street called a First Place program. That also will have a higher amount in DPA for the reasons I previously discussed. I know recently we've all been working remotely, and my hat's off to my department. They enhanced that, and we didn't miss a beat as production has grown and grown. So my hat's off to the department for that. In addition to that, I look at my participating lenders, my realtors. Wow, they work remotely as well. How can a realtor work remote? How can a lender work remote? How do you take mortgage apps? How do you show properties? They figured it out. As you can tell, production continued. Well, not only were we working remotely, but so was Fannie and Freddie. And boy, all we heard from those two was two things: forbearance and defaults. So we're happy to announce that right now, forbearance has not been an issue for us. And the defaults is something I know that the servicers are working very, very hard on. So with that, I know Mr. Harcourt has a few things he would like to discuss. Rich, if you're available.
And thanks, Kim and Tom. So I'll wrap up with a couple of points and then we'll open it up for questions. The first one is I want to talk about strategies of various HFAs. And there are many strategies about how folks go to market, how they help their the constituents get home mortgages. After the 9-10 time frame, IHCDA elected to use two separate strategies. One was to continue to home buyers and use our bond resolution. Others chose to sell all of their loans in the secondary market. And IHCDA chose to do both. We have continuously offered bond loans and TBA loans. And that has really, really served us well. I'm really proud of the efforts that Kim and his team have made over the years in that regard. There was a time when our bond resolution was shut down in the 9-10 time frame. We couldn't issue bonds. Mark's nodding his head. He was there, he understands. And that market was shut down, and we were able to serve Hoosiers by selling loans in the secondary market. More recently, the TBA market was shut down for a while. In fact, we have a budget this year that speaks to a softening of those revenues because the Fed stepped away from buying those securities. As it turns out, the Fed has been buying Union securities. That market has returned, and we're having a pretty good year there. But those markets both, we've seen come and go. And so by bifurcating our efforts by offering both programs, we've been able to continuously serve Hoosiers through the economic cycles. And I think that's a unique distinction, one that we ought to be pretty proud about. Things that are coming to us over the next several months. You all know that we are in the market with a servicing RFP, and we have deferred that until we get through the COVID-19 pandemic. And the reason for that is that servicers bear the brunt of the liabilities on Freddie, Fannie, and Ginnie loans when loans go into forbearance, when loans go into foreclosure. Servicers typically have to take those loans through that process, front the cash up front, and then look to the GSEs for reimbursement. And so, there's clearly two models that we've looked at. We currently, as you all know, use US Bank, and they are our current servicer. And with that, they're a master servicer, meaning they take all the liability for servicing in that portfolio, and we in exchange get a fee, an upfront fee for doing that. The other model is the Idaho model, where they will service for us, but we own the servicing, we own the loans, and we take all the liability up front. And in exchange for that, we get an annuity stream. Both good models in the world that we live in today. The Idaho model would have caused us to have to front some cash and work through some of the foreclosure processes. But over time, that's a model that also returns a larger rate of return. We'll continue to evaluate this. This downturn has been eye-opening to see how servicers react and what their liabilities have been. And we'll address that in 2020, but after we get through the pandemic. And then the last point is we'll be back in front of you in July for our second round of bond financing, 2020B. And that'll be a real interesting financing. It'll be what I term a kitchen sink financing because it will have a lot of things in it other than our typical rating. So, it will include $50 to $60 million of interest rate, mortgage bond financing, new money to continue to support our bond resolution. However, we will probably look to refund a significant portion of our Home First resolution that was set up in the 10-11 timeframe when the bond markets were closed and the Fed bought bonds. And then we'll probably also look to replace our pro variable rate marketing. We have a very small amount of variable rate debt in our indentures. We market it through a product called ePro, and we'll switch that to a variable rate demand obligation. So three different things going on. I turn to the kitchen sink offering. We'll have it in front of you next month to take a look at it. And so with that, I'll pause. I'll turn it over to Kim to, if you've got questions, direct them to him, and he'll either answer them or direct them back to one of us. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Tom or Kim or Rich from the board?
Rich, you mentioned the servicing RFP. When does that close, and how are you getting good interaction on that?
We've done a couple of extensions, Mark, to take it through the service option, because quite frankly, servicers have had their hands full with foreclosure issues and forbearance issues. So I think we're going to maybe postpone through the end of July. We'll take a look at July and determine if the servicers are in a position where we can make a decision and move forward from there. It's possible, depending upon where this pandemic goes, we have to provide another extension, but I think we need to get through this before we make a decision.
That makes good sense.
Any additional questions? Thank you, Tom, Kim, and Rich. And with that, we will hear from our Executive Director, Jacob Reif, on his update.
Good morning. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. A few updates here for the board. On Monday, June 15th, related to our operations, we began to implement our hybrid work schedule, where we had broken up our team into two teams and began to report back into the office. Half of the agency is coming in on Monday and Tuesday, and then the other half of the office is coming in on Thursday and Friday. And on Wednesday, everyone's working remotely, and that also includes on Wednesday gives us an opportunity to do a deep cleaning throughout the office as well, to sanitize the office. So so far so good. Really good process for that to take place. Want to thank our Chief Operating Officer, Kylie Welling, for ensuring that the policy and the procedures was all in place, and that our staff were all well informed on the appropriate way in which we were to come back into the office, and the amount of detail that we have created and shared with the team in terms of making sure that we have a safe and a healthy work environment for people to feel good knowing that they can come into the office. So Kylene, Adam Lawson has done a great job as well. I got to also thank our IT department, because without them, none of this could have really happened with Annette Richard and Jonathan Bolts. So that's been great. Obviously, Brian Phillips was behind the scene for this event, and he's doing a great job with making sure that we can continue having these types of board meetings virtually as well. So, you know, just a hats off to the entire team for a smooth transition back to the office, which, as it was a smooth transition out of the office to work remotely, and now we're kind of doing both right now. So it's been nice and rewarding to be part of that. So our CARES Act funding, I just want to give a quick update on that. Our emergency solutions grant that we have for homeless prevention, we went out with an RFP back at the end of May, and we've gotten 19 applications for our homeless prevention program. And as just a kind of refresher, the state's broken up that we're responsible for 16 regions. We'll be covering all 16 regions with that. The team has reviewed those applications, and we're ready to begin making awards with that. Right now, about $6 million, we're ready to make awards. We weren't able to get it to this month's board meeting, but I think we can. It would fall up under the executive delegation authority, So we'll need to have a conversation about doing another extension on that, because I don't think we want to wait until the next board meeting to make those awards, because I think we're just about ready to make those. Like I said, we would make an award for each of the 16 continuum of care regions, which will be coming up, which ensures that we have coverage statewide. The rapid rehousing and the shelter outreach, those proposals are coming into us in July. So we're not quite there yet, ready to make awards on those funds, but we should be ready by the end of July. So still waiting for some final guidance from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development on the ESG program, but that's not going to hold us back from being able to implement the program and getting us going. So just again, great work, a great team there with LB and Hilton and her team, making sure we get this program up and going. At the same time, we have our normal allocation of Emergency Solutions Grant that's currently being reviewed as well. That will come to the board. We're bringing that to the board in July, and that's our annual allocation. So we have that piece going on. On top of that, we have the ESG CARES Act funding, which is another $13 million on that money right now that we're processing. So we've got a lot of activity right now going in terms of getting awards made and reviewing proposals from our network of not-for-profits to support the continuum of care regions. So yesterday, the governor and lieutenant governor announced the Indiana COVID-19 rental assistance program, and that is $25 million that are available to renters for 91 counties across our state who have been adversely impacted from the COVID-19. So we announced that program yesterday. We have created a one-pager for our agencies and for renters and landlords to understand the program. We're anticipating our goal. Well, we're going to start accepting applications on Monday, July 13th, and that rental assistance will go to households $500 a month for up to 4 months with a maximum amount of $2,000, and we'd be able to go back. That would include back payment of rent from April 1st and moving forward. It could be a combination of back payment or moving forward with that 4 months of $500 with the max of being $2,000. With that, we anticipate being able to serve about 12,000 Hoosier renter households with this assistance. And so I'm happy to take any questions on our rental assistance program. I want to thank our team and our network of housing providers across our state in helping us with providing us feedback and with the development of the policy. Obviously, internally within the agency, Matt Rayburn, Jeff Zawalski, and Stephen Entz were very instrumental in evaluating and helping us with drafting and creating the policy and the program. That came with a lot of listening with multiple different stakeholders, housing stakeholders across our state, and getting their feedback and understanding what would be an ideal program for 91 counties. Obviously, 91 counties serves multiple different types of market needs. And so we had to be sensitive to that. And so I think we've really done a great job with developing a policy and a program that's going to be highly effective to serve Hoosier renter households across our state. But that only happens because we listen and we engage multiple different housing stakeholders across our state. So it is their policy. IHCDA's name's on it, but really their ability to provide us with feedback and understanding the different dynamics across our state of what's happening and the need. A lot of credit to our team and our housing providers across our state. So thank you for everyone for really making sure that this program is going to be successful. We're just getting started, but like I said, on Monday, July 13th, we'll be beginning to accept applications. So I'll pause there for a second, just in case any board members have any questions related to the Indiana COVID-19 rental assistance program.
Any questions, board? Okay.
Okay. The other update I want to give is IHCDA's partnership with the FSSA and the safe recovery sites that are around our state. You know, this was an initiative from the very, very beginning with our state to ensure that all Hoosiers have a safe place to recover from a coronavirus infection. And that would also reduce any type of likelihood of spreading from the disease to others. Obviously, we worked really hard on that and safe practices and washing your hands and wearing a mask. But some of our most vulnerable populations needed a safe recovery location. And partnering with the Division of Mental Health and Addiction, we were able to support that. And out of that was with IHCDA support came 10 safe recovery sites. In addition, there's another one in Indianapolis, but these are throughout our state, providing non-congregate shelter for the homeless Hoosiers and some of the expanded populations as well that are very vulnerable to this. These sites were established in the continuum of care regions that I mentioned under ESG. We have them in Valparaiso with Hammond and Gary, South Bend, Fort Wayne, Lafayette, Kokomo, Muncie, Terre Haute, Bloomington, Evansville, and those also serving Clark County as well. And so with that, they were able to serve 310 residents. And we have currently 33, or FSA currently has 33 residents housed and isolated right now. As this program continues, they're looking to make a shift and to begin to wind those locations down in mid-July. However, there's a plan in place to adjust as the numbers decrease to a smaller but still sustained and persistent need that we understand is there in those communities and across our state. So they're currently in the process of working on modifying the program to be more at a community level and still be able to support this population with the same level of services that they were receiving under the other model. So that process is currently in place. Probably get more information. We'll hear more information about that and how that transition is going to work in July. So I just wanted to give the board an update on the FSSA safe recovery sites. Again, IHCDA has been an integral part of that and being supportive of the work that's going on across our state to ensure that the spreading of this, especially related to our homeless population, is minimized the best that we can, and it's being done in coordination with the health departments, both at the state and at the local level. So.
Hey, Jake, question on that. Because when I talked to the mayor of Evansville, Mayor Winnicky, and it's been a few weeks, they never did have the population materialize that they had anticipated. And so they had this facility that we were funding, and there wasn't anybody in it to speak of. I don't know how that is across the rest of the state, but I'd be curious what we've spent in total for that, and then how many Hoosiers have we served? So I'm kind of looking for a dollar, you know, how much we spend per individual. Just kind of out of curiosity, because it's been a lot of money that we've dedicated to that effort. And if the rest of the state is like Evansville area, we haven't served that many people. And I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, I will ask and see if we can get some specific dollar amounts and maybe rate it prorated by person. Yeah, it is very expensive in order to deliver the level of services that they were. And then also at the time, you know, when this plan was put in place, our homeless population was considered probably the most vulnerable population because of their mobility and the stay-at-home order. And so, yeah, so I'll see if I can get some additional information in terms of dollars spent. What does that look like? I think understanding now kind of what, where we are today and some different strategies that can probably just be able to provide the same level of services more efficiently and at the, is we've probably learned a lot, but I'll follow up with FSA and see if we can get some more information related to that.
All right, thank you. Are there any additional questions for Jake on this particular item? Okay, I'm sorry to have interrupted. Go ahead.
No, thank you. That's a great question and a great opportunity for us to follow back up. Just one more thing, one other item. As I mentioned, we're ready to make awards with our ESG. However, in order for us to do that after today, I would need the delegation authority to be extended again for another 30 days to the next board meeting. Unfortunately, we just weren't ready to get the award recommendations here for ESG today, just because of the turnaround time and the review process. But I would like to ask the board to extend the delegation authority for until July 23rd to ensure that we can continue to respond with our emergency solutions grant and also our HOPWA funds. I don't think we want to wait until July 23rd. I should also remind the board on these two programs specifically, these are mostly formula allocated through a plan that was already been approved by HUD. And so this is really a pretty straightforward allocation process that we're using. So, I'll be happy to take any questions from the board on the proposal to extend the delegation authority until July 23rd.
And will you, if that delegation authority is extended, will you be sure and inform the board of, as you have been, whatever decisions you take during that time period between now and the next board meeting?
Yeah, I can pull up. Yeah, I'll share with you the organizations, their award amount, and their service area that they will be covering with those awards.
Okay, with that information being forthcoming, is there a motion to extend the, what do we call it, Jake, the emergency?
Executive Director Delegation Authority.
The Executive Director Delegation Authority.
Mike Schotmeyer, so moved.
June Midkiff, second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. That's been extended for another month. Thank you, Jake.
The last item that probably more of a board discussion than it is an update. As we move into phase 5 under Indiana's Back on Track plan, and we've had these board meetings virtually, and we were planning to go out to have our board meetings across the state. And currently on the schedule, July 23rd is our board meeting. It was scheduled to be in Anderson at a senior property called Earl. And so I guess my question to the board is, would you prefer to continue to have virtual meetings? Would you prefer to have meetings come back to IHCDA's office? Do we want to consider reaching out to the communities where we had scheduled board meetings in certain communities to see if they're interested in allowing us to have our board meeting, or if we can't have it at the proposed location that we originally identified, maybe there's another location within the community that either IHCDA participated in, or maybe one of the other agencies like Okra, where we might be able to have a board meeting. I don't know. I just thought it'd be good for us to have a conversation around this as we think about our board meetings and where we want to have those, and just the comfort level with the board. And if we need to do a little bit more legwork on seeing if the communities would be interested in us having a board meeting, we can certainly revisit that.
Hey, Jake, can we do kind of a combination so that those who are comfortable could attend if we have an appropriate place where we could wear masks going in, be social distance at our meeting, take the mask off, have our meeting, and then put our mask back on. Is there a way to kind of allow us, for those that are comfortable doing that, attend, but also allow board members that perhaps aren't comfortable or it's not convenient to call in and participate?
Yeah, General Counsel, Mr. Stewart, I believe our board does, bylaws or our policy does allow us to do a hybrid. Is that correct, Counselor Stewart?
That is correct. If you guys are talking about doing that going further down the road, that's a good idea. Next month, however, I think it could be an issue because of the facility being an extended care facility. But going forward, that is correct. We do have the ability to, as long as we have one board member at the location that we designate as the board meeting place, everyone else can call in.
One of the things to continue to think about, to build on Governor's point, is just we have board members from around the state, and so what may be convenient travel-wise for some may be difficult for others, and may require a hotel stay, for example, to make a meeting on the road happen. And I think it's just a different environment nowadays where folks may be okay with doing a meeting, but the concept of having to include an overnight the night before, I think we just need to consider that. So I think this is just Mark Woolner. I'm just speaking for myself. I don't speak for Treasurer Mitchell on this. I think I'd be more comfortable extending virtually. But again, I'm not the designated member on the board. But if I were to, I can certainly bring that back to the treasurer and have a conversation.
Yeah, this is Mark Pascal. I think you keep the virtual option open. I mean, especially if we're going to facilities that have a population that could be at risk. I'm not sure that that's something that would be right to do at this point in time, because we certainly don't want to have any possibility of somebody spreading that to that community, because we may be asymptomatic and so therefore not knowing we're carrying it. And I'd hate to bring it into that type of facility. So I'd say virtual. And if you want to do an option to show up, I'm fine with that as well. That's kind of the best of both worlds.
Any other board members' preference?
The only thing I would mention, if one of the things is cost, it is very costly for us to have a board as we think about our budget, trying to maintain our budget. I would hate to have a board meeting where we only have like 1 or 2 board members there, and to spend the time and the cost involved in doing that might not be worth that effort, and virtually may be the best option. How about if we do this? How about if we plan for another virtual meeting in July, and then each month, I think as we learn more, maybe we can have a conversation about, is the next location appropriate for a potential in-person board meeting. It's a great point about the senior housing. Obviously, that population is vulnerable, and we probably want to be sensitive to that. Sure, okay, that's good. Would everybody be okay then if we plan for another virtual meeting in July, and then we just have a conversation about the next location that's on the schedule?
Sure, I think
that's a good idea, Jack, yes.
Agreed.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds like our next meeting will be virtual, Jake.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Do you have
That's my
anything?
report.
All right. Any questions for Jake?
Did I see the housing conference going to be virtual this year, Jake? On email
Yes,
on that.
the housing conference will be virtual this year, along with the Lieutenant Governor's Excellence in Affordable Housing Awards. That'll be done virtually as well. And I believe within the next week, we'll be accepting nominations from our properties and our communities for those awards. We're going to be starting to solicit nominations here within the next week. So.
Okay, any additional business to come before the board at this time? And if not, I will entertain a motion and a second to adjourn.
June Mitchell,
Andy
so
Place,
moved.
so moved.
Sounds like we had a motion by Andy and a second by June. How's that?
That's good.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Perfect. All opposed? We stand adjourned till our meeting in July. Thank you all very much. Take care. Have a great day.
Thank you. You as well.